Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. You know, there are a lot of people within the XRP community who think that as on-demand liquidity gets adopted, which of course requires the usage of XRP as a bridge currency, as that is increasingly adopted, that's going to result in a whole lot more buying of XRP, and that make price go up. But it's actually a bit more complex than that. On-demand liquidity will not directly make the price of XRP go up. I'll explain what I mean by that. But you need to understand, and I'll just briefly state this in the intro, and then I'll expand upon my thoughts as we go through the video. But you understand, like, if you're thinking that on-demand liquidity being adopted just means a whole bunch more XRP gets purchased, you're forgetting at the other side of that transaction, there is equivalent sell pressure. So I'll explain what I mean, but it also doesn't matter. There are so many other reasons that the price of XRP will go up, and it's not that on-demand liquidity won't help, it just won't directly help. That's my personal position, and I've been pondering this since late 2017, honestly. So anyway, want to dive in a little bit. There's so many ideas. I don't think I'm going to express everything in this video. Maybe we can just keep the conversation kind of going. But a lot of people in the community have been talking about this lately, so I thought I'd just jump in a little bit, dip my toe in the water, as it were. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So here's a brand new story from crypto media outlet U Today titled, "Ripple to Power Remittances Between Japan and Thailand Via New Partnership." And this is kind of what set this off. There was a thread that started on Twitter because they shared the story as well. And that's what got it going. So I'm going to be brief on this and then kind of dig into the rest of the more thought-provoking ideas. But anyway, crypto company Ripple announced the launch of a new joint project with SBI Remit to streamline Japan-Thailand money transfers. Under the project, SBI Remit, Japan's largest payment provider, will allow Thais living in Japan to instantly send money back home using RippleNet technology. A Siam Commercial Bank will represent the Thai side in this venture. Okay, so great. I'm just going to leave it at that in terms of the news. And the only other thing I could really add to that is additional RippleNet technology being adopted anywhere in the world over. It's fantastic. The more it gets adopted, the more opportunity there will be as XRP liquidity increases over time to open up new corridors utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, and that will be good for the long-term viability of XRP and price action. And again, note that when I said on-demand liquidity won't help XRP in terms of price action, note that I used the word it won't directly help. And again, I'll expand upon that in just a second here. So here is the tweet from Ripple. I'm not going to read it. It's on your screen. But they're talking about the news story that I just shared with you. And somebody named Johnny Crypto responded to that and seems a little frustrated and wrote, "If it's growing so much, why is the price S-word?" Now, mind you, Ripple was providing a news story about the expansion of RippleNet, and this wasn't even specifically about on-demand liquidity. This individual saying, why is the price S-word? The only reasonable assumption you can come to is that he's talking about XRP and Ripple's talking about something different. Ripple's talking about RippleNet in general, and this guy's thinking about XRP. But of course, the truth, there's a lot of ways you could answer. Like, XRP is just, in terms of price action, it's following the rest of the crypto market. Utility doesn't sufficiently matter today, but even if you want to theorize about what it might look like in a mature asset class when people behave a little bit differently, maybe they put money where they think real problems are being solved, that's the direction I'm going to go for this video. And an XRP community member named Kashta responded to that and wrote, "Is this a real question? If so, I'll answer it. If you don't care, I won't waste my time." And then somebody else responded and wrote, "Lawsuit? ? I would like to know." And then Kashta did provide an answer. And this is something I've debated with people. Like, I remember in my earliest days in crypto, because I've only been in crypto since November 2017. I say almost 5 years now, actually. It doesn't feel like that long. But I remember in the earliest of days, like, I remember having debates on Twitter, like, early 2018. And it was not, I was still trying to wrap my head around things, but I just kept thinking, people have this wrong, because back then I'd see all the time people saying, "Oh yeah, well, if on-demand liquidity, which was then known as XRapid, if it gets increased adoption, there's going to be crazy amount of people purchasing XRP. Can you imagine how high the price would go? And $5 trillion in daily international flows." And I was just sitting there thinking, this is when it was harder to get information about the mechanics and specifics. Not that it's perfectly easy today, but it was a lot harder back then, to be honest with you. And I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, but you're focusing on one side of the transaction, the buy side. What about the sell side, right? Because understand, like, a hypothetical transaction is, there could be somebody in the United States that wants to send their friend some amount of money in Mexico and need to convert that from United States dollars to the Mexican peso. So then XRP would be purchased on a United States exchange, and then that XRP would be transferred to the Mexican exchange and then sold into the Mexican peso. And it's all done in real time in a matter of seconds, effectively. At least the XRP ledger portion is. If exchanges are a little bit slower, they're a little bit slower, but it doesn't add that much time. It's effectively real time anyway. So, so anyway, that's in a general sense how it works. So there's a buy on one side of that transaction. So, it's you can think increase in demand, but what about the other side? There's a sell. And so Kashta made a point that I've been making for several years, and it was refreshing to see it, frankly, because I'm not sure how many people have thought through it like this, but this is correct. Kashta said, the short version, just do the math. If you buy 5,000 United States dollars in XRP, move it to Mexico, and sell it for 5,000 worth of Mexican pesos, that's called a net trade and does not move price. Same if it's 5 million or 5 billion, it's all a net trade. Primarily, XRP has to be bought and held to move price. Ding, ding, ding. He is hitting the nail on the head. And I've been saying this forever, and it concerns people when they first hear that if they haven't thought through it like that. I'm like, no, that's not bad or scary. It's normal and good. Because think about this. And so I responded with the following. I wrote, I've been making that point since early 2018, and it seems lost on most people. They seem to not understand arbitrage. And so what I was referencing there, just to flesh that out a little bit further, is look, let me say this. It's not the actual usage of XRP via on-demand liquidity that will directly increase the price of XRP. Rather, on-demand liquidity adoption may indirectly increase the price of XRP if it instills confidence in speculators regarding the long-term viability of XRP. That's it. So if XRP is being used as a bridge currency via on-demand liquidity, then there is equivalent buying and selling pressure resulting in a global net price change of $0 for XRP. Because what you need is more demand. That's what I'm getting at here. And so look, another thing to consider is that XRP will be held in ever-increasing quantities by market makers as adoption of on-demand liquidity continues. Yet even here, it's not the flow of XRP via on-demand liquidity itself that would cause a price rise for XRP. Other than if you say you can make an argument, and that's why there's a lot of things to consider here, like in terms of if people notice a huge uptick in volume, maybe that'll drive some activity. But setting that aside, not so much. And so for greater levels of XRP being held by those that may want to make money on the on-demand liquidity quarters, such as cryptocurrency exchanges, well, yeah, you could see increased adoption there. But if there's a buy and a sell immediately on two sides of a transaction, that in and of itself doesn't do anything. What drives the increase in price, it's like a ton more demand, making XRP that much more scarce. People, that's what he's saying. Cash just said, people holding XRP, that's what's going to drive it. That is exactly correct. Right? And so when I was talking about arbitrage, I understand, like, if you're purchasing so somebody's purchasing XRP on one side, let's just say it's in the United States for the sake of this conversation. So there's a bunch of buy pressure. See, that keeps happening because let's say there's an on-demand liquidity corridor from the United States and Mexico. Flows are way heavier in one direction. Most of the XRP is getting bought in the United States, moving to Mexico, and then being sold there. So there's a lot of buying pressure over on the United States side. And so if that's happened, you can imagine that might drive up price on that exchange. You can imagine this theoretically, right? It would drive up the price in the United States exchange. But then when there's extra sell pressure because there's all this on-demand liquidity flow dumping into Mexico, well, that would decrease price, right? There's a ton more selling pressure. So given that's the case, though, anytime there are these disparities, there are going to be certain people that are going to notice this and they're going to take advantage of it. So how could they do that? Well, somebody could notice this disparity, and let's say they're in Mexico. Well, now they've got an XRP that's effectively cheap in Mexico, noticing that on that other side, though, in the United States, in that exchange, people are, even for a brief period of time, they're paying some sort of premium. If there's that much of a disparity, it could start to change the price because there's only so much liquidity on each exchange for XRP. So if that's the case, what people can do is start buying it cheap in Mexico and then sending it back to the United States and making a small profit. That's called arbitrage. People do it all the time. There's a reason that the price of XRP globally is quite stable. And there are companies, and I remember reading about this even back in like 2017. There are companies that existed to engage in arbitrage. That's it. And when there was less liquidity in the crypto space, like especially back in like 2015 and 2016, my gosh, they were just making an absolute killing. I remember reading about one company, I can't remember what it's called, but they were just making like hundreds of millions of dollars a year, purely. And what they did is they created an algorithm that was tracking various prices the world over on all sorts of different exchanges. So it would just automatically fulfill these transactions. And so they were just purely engaging in arbitrage. But then as markets continued, the margins on that got a bit more slim, and then a bit more slim, and a bit more slim as more money flowed in. And there was less opportunity, more people engaging in the practice. But that's how humans behave. And humans behave algorithms that also fulfilled that type of purpose. So, so I hope that makes sense. And there's so much more to say about this. I just kind of, like I said, wanted to dip my toe in. I have a lot more to say about this in terms of what's going to drive price and what this looks like and why it makes sense to have XRP as a bridge currency, why XRP is perfectly positioned for so many other use cases. But on this topic, I have a lot more to say, but I just thought I'd kind of get going here and see what you guys think, if you have any thoughts. And if any of you disagree, that's fine. Just know that you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love thoughtful discourse, so if anybody disagrees, feel free to drop a comment below. Like, I really do have fun thinking about this stuff, and I do not get offended when people challenge my ideas, so long as everybody's being civil. I have a fun time in just engaging in thoughtful discourse and just, foster an environment where it's okay, where like if you persuade me that I'm wrong or I'm missing something, I want to foster an environment where I can just be like, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's what I'm striving for. That's how I wish more humans would just behave. So I'm not some sort of know-it-all. If you actually think I got something wrong on this, let me know. But this is what I've been thinking after lots of thoughtful consideration for many years on end. And this is just like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to consider in terms of what's actually going to drive price. There's all sorts of nuances. So this isn't intended to be some sort of, sharing of the totality of my thoughts on this. It certainly is not, but it's a good start. So I guess I'll go kind of wrap up there. But if you guys like talking about this stuff, if it's as interesting to you as it is to me, I'd love to make more videos about this in the short term, but you just let me know, because I don't want to bore anybody to death, but I think it's really fun to think through this stuff. So you guys tell me what you're looking for, but I'll wrap up here. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.